You order a pizza, but it arrives 30 minutes late. You open the box, grab a slice, and realize it is completely cold. You can still eat it. It has the same cheese, the same sauce, the same crust, almost the exact same calories. But somehow it feels worse. So you put it in the microwave, and 2 minutes later, the exact same food suddenly tastes better. We do this with rice, meat, soup, noodles, and thousands of other foods. If a meal is supposed to be hot and arrives cold, people immediately assume something has gone wrong, which raises a surprisingly complicated question. Why do humans prefer so much of their food hot? Because technically, your body does not need dinner to be warm. Your stomach is perfectly capable of handling cold food. The answer starts with your nose. Most of what you call flavor is not actually coming from taste alone. Your tongue primarily detects basic taste qualities like sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. But the complicated part of flavor comes heavily from smell. When you chew food, aromatic molecules travel from your mouth up into your nasal cavity, where your brain combines them with information from your tongue. That combination becomes flavor. And temperature changes this entire process. Heat gives aromatic molecules more energy. As food warms, many volatile compounds escape more easily into the air. That is why you can smell a pot of soup from across the kitchen while the same soup sitting inside the refrigerator barely smells like anything. So when that pizza is hot, more of its aroma reaches your nose. You smell the toasted crust, the tomato, the melted cheese, the browned meat. Let it become refrigerator cold, and many of those signals become weaker. Also, your mouth contains temperature-sensitive nerves alongside your taste system, which means temperature is not just something you feel while eating. Temperature becomes part of the flavor. Imagine drinking warm cola. Everything in your brain tells you something is wrong. Now imagine drinking ice-cold chicken broth. Probably not much better. The problem is not necessarily the food, it is that your brain has learned a temperature that belongs with that flavor. Heat also changes texture. Take cheese. Cold cheese can be firm and slightly rubbery. Warm it, and the fat softens. The texture becomes creamy and stretchy. Take animal fat. Cold fat can become waxy and solid. Warm it closer to body temperature, and it melts across your tongue. Temperature alters viscosity, softness, creaminess, thickness, and how food moves around inside your mouth. This is why leftover fries are disappointing. When fries are fresh, the outside is crisp while the inside is soft and steaming. As they cool, moisture migrates through the potato. The crisp exterior softens. The starch changes. Heating food therefore creates something your brain loves: contrast. But this is not why humans became so attached to hot food in the first place. For that, we have to go back hundreds of thousands of years. At some point in human evolution, our ancestors gained reliable control over fire. Raw food requires work. Plants have tough cell walls. Starches can be difficult to access. Meat contains protein structures and connective tissue that require extensive chewing and digestion. But heat fixes this. Cooking gelatinizes starch. It denatures proteins and softens tissues. It makes many foods easier to chew and allows humans to extract more usable energy from important foods. And cooking also kills pathogens. Raw meat, eggs, seafood, and other foods can carry microorganisms capable of making humans seriously ill. Sufficient heating destroys many of them. Imagine two groups repeatedly eating meat. One frequently eats it raw. The other frequently cooks it. If the second group experiences fewer infections, finds the food easier to chew, and gains more usable energy, fire becomes extremely valuable even if nobody understands why. Generation after generation, cooked food becomes associated with safe calories. And this may help explain why warmth became such a powerful cue around food. Culture then strengthens those expectations. A bowl of hot soup on a cold evening means comfort in many societies. Fresh bread is prized while it is still warm. Tea and coffee are often served hot enough that steam itself becomes part of the experience. And over time, temperature becomes part of the identity of the food itself. You do not just expect soup to taste like soup, you expect it to be hot. That is why serving a familiar food at the wrong temperature can feel strangely unsettling even when nothing about its ingredients has changed. Which brings us back to your cold pizza. There may be nothing objectively wrong with it, but it no longer matches the version of pizza your brain expects. And that mismatch matters more than we realize. Because eating is not just about detecting nutrients. It is about comparing what is in your mouth with a prediction built from thousands of previous meals. When the prediction is right, the food feels normal. When it is wrong, even slightly, the entire experience can feel off. That is why reheating the pizza changes more than its temperature. It restores the experience you were expecting. So our preference for hot food is not really a preference for heat by itself. It is a preference for food arriving in the form our brains have learned to recognize as right. And for many foods, warmth has become part of that definition.